What's going on, people? It's Saturday, August 4th, and I enjoyed doing the last video and the comments so much I said, let me just come on back. And I thought for this one, I'm wearing this t-shirt, especially for this one. It's out of my collection. It's a John McLaughlin Shakti t-shirt. It actually belonged, well, okay. This belonged to my dad. My dad was a jazz musician. I've talked about him before. He was quite the card. He was raised in Chicago and was just his best friends, among his best friends were Red Holloway and Johnny Griffin, who were like uncles to me when I was a little boy. But also, like I said, I met John Coltrane as a little boy. My dad knew Dexter Gordon, played with T-Bone Walker, and in the latter years of his life, in the late 70s, early 80s, my dad became friends with John Mayall. And I don't know the story behind my dad having this t-shirt. It could just be a promo from a record store. He may have had contact with John McLaughlin. I don't know. But I thought I'd wear this. It's a little tight, so I don't usually wear it. It's actually, I have a collection of t-shirts. I have a collection of a lot of junk. I received some more music yesterday from Arthur. Arthur, you're an angel. Thank you so much. I'm going to show them, but I want to thank you all. I really appreciate and enjoy the comments. I'm so glad that I've gotten to the point where people seem to be understanding me when I say what I say. I don't mean things disrespectfully, I'm being honest. Years ago, when I brought up my dislike of the band Kiss, I had to delete a ton of comments from people who lost their shit, basically like immature children. Just can't handle the fact that people have their own minds. Excuse me. So it's really refreshing to not have to deal with that. It's really refreshing to be able to have interactions with mature people, okay? I understand some of you people who watch me are young, maybe still in your teens. That's cool with me. Does that mean I'm gonna, it doesn't have anything to do with my language. I'll cuss when I feel like it. That's ridiculous to think that, oh, you're hurting a kid. Oh, fucking ridiculous. So, Arthur in England, thank you. Thank you so much. He sends me cool stuff all the time. And I also got this in the mail from Korolev. And just thank you for sending it to me. No cover or nothing. I guess I missed the edition, but I don't know that I'll review it. Okay, I'll be honest about it. I'm going to listen to it, but I think I can set that boundary. You want me to review something, send it to me, But send it to me, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so Arthur, who sent me the email, okay, let me go back to that, because I did have a good day yesterday listening to music and housework. And so what I did was, here's the new one, the new remastered Apollo, and I looked to see, and indeed I do have the original. And so what I did was I did an A-B listening. And boy, is there a massive difference. The remastering is incredible. From the very first notes. That's how good of a job they did it. I'm familiar with this album and the way it starts. But they cleaned it up and it's beautiful. You almost can't tell it's the same record until it completely comes in with the music. This is an incredible job done. Well worth having. Well worth having. They make the remaster well worth having. But I got a package of compact discs from Arthur yesterday. One of them was this Erased Tapes Volume 8. Erased Tapes is an interesting label, and I haven't dived into this, but it has good artists on it. Penguin Cafe, A Winged Victory for the Sullen, Douglas Bear, Olafur Arnolds. It's really quite a good label. Apparently, it probably came with this CD, which he sent to me, which is the Penguin Cafe Orchestra CD reissue of Union Cafe. And Penguin was started by the composer Simon Jeffs. There was I believe one of their records, or the first record, was released on Eno's Obscure Music label. Possibly. I used to have it, don't anymore. This is wonderful. It's happy, up kind of music. It's bright side type of feelings music. It's the kind of music that there's an idea this music is safe. And there's great players on here. Nana Vasconcelos is on here, Ian Maidman. Good people. I just, when this came, I thought to myself, do I still have this? Do I have this? But I don't have it on vinyl. Penguin Cafe Orchestra. He sent me two more, and both of them are just bangers, as you would say. This is not a club banger. I'm just using that slang to say these next two CDs are incredible. Arthur, thank you so much. He's sending me amazing music. This is the Spontaneous Music Ensemble's Karyobin. It's a Japanese paper sleeve limited edition reissue of this. It's really a well-respected work of free jazz and improvisation. Dave Holland on bass, John Stevens on drums. This is incredible to receive this from you, and to receive such a wonderful edition of it too. The actual vinyl of this, the original edition, if you look it up on Discogs, you'll see it's quite a collector's item, and it's not cheap. This is improvisation and collective music making at its finest. It's wonderful. I had a rather neat serendipitous thing happen while listening to this yesterday. So I was listening to this, and then, like often, I'll be doing two things at once, and I was on the internet doing something, looking at something, and a short film with the music by Massive Attack Teardrop came on. I started to watch it, but this was still on. It wasn't that I was watching that video, but it was like I think I was like seeing what it was about while still listening to this, and the two were seamless. This playing blended with Massive Attack, it completely enhanced everything. It was like they didn't conflict at all. It was like, wow, what a neat discovery. That says a lot about the quality of what's going on here. They're not making noise and just fiddling around. This is fantastic. Arthur, I can't thank you enough. The last thing he sent me was this CD I did not know about. It's a tribute to the Norwegian. Yes, thank you. Jazzist, I understand, is Norwegian. The Norwegian guitarist Terje Rypdal. A tribute to Terje Rypdal's Sky Music. I have to use my... On Rune Gramophone, I was thinking, yeah, that font, this looks like a Rune Gramophone. Fantastic label. If I could afford to collect Rune Gramophone, I would. This has great players on it, some I don't know. Nels Klein is on here, Ryan Fiske, Bill Frisell, Henry Kaiser, Jim O'Rourke, David Torn, and these other guys, I don't know their names. Eric Friedlander, yes I do, and Rob Bjorkenheim. Excuse me, yeah, I know these names. This is wonderful. I listened to most of it, and I read the notes. I thought to myself, this is one I need to see where it's coming from. And it's a work of love. They take Terje Rypdal's music, and they don't just repeat it. They don't just cover it. They enhance it and do their own take on it. It's really great. I love Terje Rypdal. I have his music is right here. I, again, don't have all of his records. I have some. He's an artist. If I, again, could afford to own everything, I would. He was in a band called Dream. I'd love to find that album. It's a collector's item. And before that, he was in a band called The Vanguards. But The Dream, I'd love to find that. But I have his first album on ECM, self-titled. This is probably a second edition, but it's really old. And I love this album. And the cover is perfect. This album is like nothing else. He really is a guitarist. He has his own style and sound. You know when you hear Terje Rypdal. When this came out, this was his first album to come out in America. What Comes After. This is another one of my all-time favorite albums. Icing, the last song on side 1. Reminds me of a story when this came out. I was still, this came out in 1974. I had just graduated from high school. And I was subjecting my best friends to this music because many of them, even though they were music lovers, and we had stuff like Genesis in common, many of my friends couldn't get to this. But I was so enamored with this album. I remember one time a Stone session where I made them listen to Icing. And some of them just fell asleep. This is amazing, still to this day. Really, one of my Desert Island favorite albums. So these last few videos, you are seeing some of my all-time top albums. Like some people will say their favorite albums are like Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. These top all of them. These records I'm talking about, if they were to come on my list, along with stuff like the Beatles and stuff, many of these records are going to come out above the Beatles and a lot of the so-called classic rock albums. This is a masterpiece, and this is my copy from when I bought it. It's ring-worn from me trying to turn people onto it, taking it everywhere I went. Terje Rypdal's Odyssey double album. Amazing. What year was this? 75, 76. I played this all the time. Fantastic. And then this came out, the next one. Also, Beat. The ring wear is a sign of love whenever I seem to be far away. The title tells you everything, okay? Now, this is interesting. This is in my collection, and it's been in my... I haven't played this in so long that I bought these Blake sleeves when these shiny sleeves came about as a result of the VC. I forget the cat's name who designed them and had them made originally. But I bought 5,000 of them after they got made to try to cover the majority of my collection. And this one is still from the original covering. I haven't played it since then because it's still in back. Anytime I would take a record out from that original covering and play it, I would turn it around. I have this on CD. I may have played it since but just thought I'd point it out. This has been, it's like it's been sealed for a long time. Here is another of Rypdal's albums that is just phenomenally beautiful. After the Rain. After the Rain. Some of the finest music I have ever heard. He just keeps it going. Here he is with Waves. Another fantastic album. Fantastic. I have this on CD, so I know I played this since I Blake sleeved it, because this one is also unopened since the original covering. But I played it on CD. This is kind of cool to see this. I have so many records and a lot of music that just doesn't get played to very often. To Be Continued by Miroslav Vitous and Terje Rypdal and Jack DeJohnette. ECM was smart to pick up on him. Here's one, Chaser. Terje Rypdal's Chaser. A little more hard-edged this one is than some of his other stuff. But as I've said, he comes from a rock and roll background. Here he is with, again, another, probably the first collaboration album with Vitous and Jack DeJohnette, because it's just their names. I highly recommend all this music. Highly recommend it. Descendre. This is some dope shit. And I've got CDs, I won't grab them. The last one I have on vinyl is this thing called the Singles Collection. And this is, again, another kind of up album. Up. So Arthur in London cannot, words do not convey the thanks that I feel and the blessings that I feel coming from you and everyone in my life. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I'll go a little bit further because yesterday I ended up watching a couple of documentaries. I love documentaries. And I watched a couple of Beach Boys documentaries. One particularly on the making of Pet Sounds, which I had not seen, thought I had seen it. And then when it started, I realized, wow, I hadn't seen this. So I watched it all the way through. And then I watched a really, really sad documentary on Dennis Wilson. But also, as a result, I pulled Pet Sounds. Yes, Pet Sounds is one of those albums. I do agree with the hype, and I understand why the Beatles were stoked by this album. It's like, well, we got to do something. We got to do something. We got to beat that. And vice versa. Brian Wilson, he said it was Rubber Soul that got him going. This is an original 1966 pressing. It's an original 1966 pressing from Germany. It's a bit scuffy, but I love that I have an original pressing from the 60s. And the Beatles changed my life. I've told that story very many times about the Ed Sullivan and the way that felt to me as a little boy. But here in the Midwest, in Omaha, Nebraska, not just me, but my brothers and sisters, we loved the Beach Boys, and we related to them even though we had never been to California. And once again, the race thing comes up. People, I have to live with it. So if some of you are getting tired of hearing about it, trade with me and try to live with it, okay? But as much as we loved the Beach Boys and fantasized about the beach and stuff and how happy that music was, we knew that was a world that we could not be a part of. But the music was so magical. So the Beach Boys are important to me. And the Pet Sounds is fantastic. Also, as a result of watching the Dennis Wilson, I didn't realize, I knew he died tragically, but I did not know how bad his life fell apart because of drugs and alcohol. Really sad, real sad. Excuse me. But a while ago, I picked up on the importance of his Pacific Ocean Blue album. Now, this album is not the typical type of sound that I listen to, okay? This is pretty soulful. I like soul music, but it's like I don't chase the sound of soul. Quite often I'm looking for something that doesn't contain that. But this, when it was reissued in 2008, along with his other album, I have to open this up to get it, Bamboo. I had to get it. And it's the triple album version from Sundazed on blue vinyl. And this was actually kind of hard to listen to. I picked out a couple of particular songs that they spoke about in the documentary. And you can hear the pain. Holy Man is totally, Taylor Hawkins finished that song. That was interesting to hear. But some of the songs from Bamboo, and then also the songs from Pacific Ocean Blue, the pain. Dennis Wilson is a perfect example of a person who was not taught, didn't come from a background where he was given good coping skills, and all the madness in his life just destroyed him. Beautiful album. Another album I played yesterday, Banco del Mutuo Soccorso from Italy. This is their album De Terra. It's instrumental. you know, their lead singer, this huge guy, I think his name is Francesco, operatic voice, he's not on here. But their music is very cinematic, and what I like about Prog, good Prog, is where the music is interesting, colorful, and they'll put changes in the music that lift, rather than some of it goes down. But the thing that I like about Prog is that a lot of the music, it's like it's trying to move somewhere, trying to lift up, trying to find a new color, things like that. And Banco were good at that. They have some new music out, I see. They're still going. That's wonderful. I pulled this as well, but I didn't get to it yet. The American version of a couple of their albums. And there's the singer. Huge guy. And there he is, rather unflatteringly on the back. What's the fella's name? Francesco Di Giacomo, the vocalist. Wonderful. This is some great progressive rock music. Great keyboard work. Played this. I love the band Focus. And interestingly, they made an album with the pop soul singer from the 60s, PJ Proby. What is interesting. When it came out, I said, I just don't understand why this is happening. And frankly, I still don't, because the best songs on here are the ones where PJ Proby doesn't sing. To my ears, he brought nothing to the table. If he did, I don't know what it was. The highlight of this album, for me, is Philip Catherine's guitar playing. Make sure that's what I'm talking about. Yep. Philip Catherine. So most of the songs where it's PJ singing, I skip those. Steve Smith of Journey is also on this album on drums. Check that out. Let me keep going. Oh, okay. Because here's another record that Vijay gave me that I forgot about. And I put it on yesterday again. Animal Youth Animal. And of the records he sent me, this is the least satisfying. There's a couple songs that are okay. It's kind of like an angsty... it's kind of angsty. Close to shoegaze. No, it's not shoegaze, but it's kind of from that period of time. It's just okay. I've played it a couple times. It gets a little tiring. It's like it's trying to be important. I have to come back to this, okay? My initial impression of the first two times is like, okay, I get it, but it ain't that good. So I have to come back to it. Once again, Vijay, thank you. I can see why you thought I might like this, and it may grow on me. The first two listens are like, you heard what I said. This is a Prog album I found years ago, and thankfully I didn't pay too much for it, but Finnegan's Wake, Yellow. Do you all know this album? Finnegan's Wake. I know nothing about the band. It's progressive, it's noodly, and it's not well realized in my opinion. And one of the big problems with this album is the vocals. I know I can be kind of a bitch about vocals, but I'm being honest. It's why I don't sing more. People like my voice, and I have sung on some of my records, but I'd rather just hear the music. And this is a classic example of that, where the music is good, and once the guy starts to sing, it's like, well, it's like you really don't have a very compelling voice. It's really detracting from this music. And for me, it's like, if that's the case, I don't even care what you're saying. You know, you've destroyed the momentum of what you're doing. So if by chance anyone from Finnegan's Wake happens to see this, sorry if I've offended the vocalist, but the vocals really trash the possibility of this being something worth looking for. I really can't recommend this, except maybe someone find a copy and find the magic here and tell me about it, because the vocals take away from the music badly. Badly. One more, because I did a bunch of listening yesterday, and I know what I like. So I listened to this mono album all the way through yesterday. I even listened to two sides of it. Under the Pipal Tree is the name of this. I listened to two sides all the way through, even though I was already done with it. It was like, okay, this is what I don't like about this band. It's like it's trying to be grand and big, but it's not rising. It was quiet, and then it got louder, and then it just repeats. But it does not rise from the inside. And if mono people happen to see this, I have not heard their latest records, but that's my honest feedback, is that I would hope that the band has discovered how to take their music to the next level emotionally. This is nice, but it's not enough. Thank you again for sharing this with me. Okay, I've talked enough. Last thing I'll say is, I heard from Brett when I brought this up, and no one's buying anything, and I maybe it's because of the way that I talk that you won't buy stuff from me, but I have music for sale, and this movie soundtrack, this is really good. I've got this, and I've got maybe 2 or 3 copies of this left. If the way that I talk is shooting myself in the foot, I'll accept that. But this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to be. But I know that all you guys that watch me, you all don't have my music. Come on, buy something. Thank you. Thank you for everything, everyone. Thank you so much.